Now, within distribution, you're going to have obviously moving anything from manufacturing, which we'll get to, into your retail or your wholesale operations. Basically, how do you get things going from farm to table, if you will? So your distribution are going to have, again, your traditional infrastructure or corporate security components. This will be obviously your front end, your HR, your accounting, file shares, other shares, information that you're sharing within your organization. So again, I'm looking at some type of framework that can establish an overarching security program for this entity. Specific, though, to distribution, areas I would be looking at would be anything around their logistics operations or their warehousing. These two areas are obviously where we're going to find probably the most amount of risk within a distribution for a cannabis operation. Why? Because this is where your assets are. This is where your inventory sits. So seeing as though distribution is all about moving inventory out to sellers, this is where I would hone in on and consider my highest business risk areas. Obviously, infrastructure and corporate are important, but I'm really wanting to look at what's going on with my warehousing operations, the systems that are being used, the applications that are being used for my logistics. This is where I will be looking at application security for logistics. Warehousing, I'd be looking at actually physical security controls, as well as any other type of OT controls that could be used to help move warehousing, move the logistics within warehousing, move any type of inventory or assets, moving it around. It's all about movement. So what type of physical security controls? Obviously, badging in, badging out. You don't want a large concentration of your inventory to be susceptible to pure theft. So allowing the right people in, allowing the right people who are inside now moving within the organization or within the warehouse to the areas that they're supposed to be. You've got your loaders, your unloaders, you got your managers, anyone who is moving anything from aisle to aisle or storing, if it's in cold or if it's in warm aisles, whatever it is. You've also probably got a growing amount of OT or operational technology. This is probably going to be used in like a sensor, kind of position, right? Or usage. The positioning could be like temperature sensors, light sensors, product degradation sensors, gas emission, movement emission as well. Maybe you've got kind of motion detectors. Maybe you have automated warehouse conveyors or lifts that are operating and moving around, moving product, loading product into trucks for eventual distribution out to retail or other type of wholesale operations. We don't know, but like either way, you've got a larger reliance on OT. How do you look at the security of that? How are those sensors installed? What networks are they installed? Who has access to those sensors? There's a lot that goes on within operational technology, especially when you start looking at warehouse operations. So again, if I'm a CISO and I'm looking into a distribution operation within cannabis, I'm going to want to build out, obviously, a standard infrastructure corporate type of program, cyber program, based on a framework. I'm going to want to dig directly into the application security of logistics, right? If something goes wrong within this, now we're diverting products and inventory to the wrong people, the wrong places. It could very well happen. And then digging in at the lowest layer, really, the physical security controls, potentially managed over a network, predominantly. Many of them are now, as well as the operational technology of what is happening within that warehouse, sensors, lights, temperature, gauges, really anything that you can think of now is fitting into this OT or even the IoT type of space. Again, it's focusing on the inventory. The business risk here within a distribution is obviously your inventory. You don't want spoilage. You don't want theft. Now we'll look at where we grow, right? Let's look at manufacturing operations now that we've looked at distribution.